Seeds of deception. The monsoon rains pelted the windows of the Kapoor mansion as Shalini Desai adjusted the pleats of her silk sari. 6 months into her marriage with Vikram Kapoor, heir to Kapoor Developments, she still felt like an outsider in this sprawling South Mumbai estate. "Mrs. Kapoor, tea is ready in the drawing room. Madam Kapoor is waiting," announced the house help, never meeting her eyes. Shalini nodded, inhaling deeply. Tea with her mother-in-law Indira was a daily ritual of subtle humiliation. She straightened her shoulders and walked down the marble corridor adorned with photographs of Kapoor. Family achievements, not one featuring her. 20 minutes late, Indira remarked without looking up from her tablet. "In business, punctuality separates the professionals from the amateurs." "I'm sorry, I was finishing the charity event proposal you asked for," Shalini replied, taking her seat. Indira's perfectly penciled eyebrow arched. "A proposal that any competent person would have completed yesterday." She sipped her tea. "Your father may have been a respected professor, but academic success clearly doesn't translate to practical efficiency." Shalini bit her tongue. Her economics degree from Delhi University and her MBA meant nothing to the Kapoors. To them, her middle-class background was an unforgivable flaw in their dynastic plans. Across the room, Vikram's cousin Tara watched with barely concealed amusement. Beautiful, polished, and born into wealth, Tara had been groomed to marry Vikram before the family suddenly arranged his marriage to Shalini instead. "The Sharma property acquisition needs attention," Indira continued. "Vikram will be working late with Tara to finalize the deal." "I could help," Shalini offered. "My thesis was on urban development economics." Laughter cut her off. Tara set down her teacup. "Oh, Shalini, theory isn't practice. Some things require ... instinct. Family. Instinct." Later that evening, Shalini sat alone in the bedroom she shared with Vikram, but rarely saw him in. Their marriage had been orchestrated by their families after her father saved Vikram's father during a heart attack. Gratitude morphed into a business arrangement, nothing more. Her phone chimed with a message from her only friend in Mumbai, Priya Mathur, a journalist she'd met at a charity function. "Coffee tomorrow? I need your perspective on something interesting." Shalini smiled. With Priya, she could be herself, not the disappointing daughter-in-law or the invisible wife. The next day at the quiet cafe, Priya's expression was unusually serious. "The Sharma property deal. Something's not right. The residents are being forced out illegally. It can't be." Shalini frowned. "Vikram wouldn't..." "Not Vikram," Priya interrupted, sliding over her tablet. "Someone's manipulating. Documents, bribing officials. It's sophisticated. Look at the shell company names." Shalini scanned the information, her economics training spotting the patterns. "This is money laundering. But why show me?" "Because someone needs to stop it. And you have access." Priya's eyes held conviction. This could hurt innocent people. Shalini. That night, Shalini cautiously searched Vikram's home office, finding nothing until she noticed a hidden folder in his cloud storage. The documents confirmed Priya's suspicions, but implicated someone unexpected. She downloaded copies, heart racing. A floorboard creaked behind her. "What are you doing?" Tara's voice was ice-cold. Shalini answered, closing the laptop. "For the charity foundation." Tara's smile didn't reach her eyes. "At midnight? In Vikram's private office?" She stepped closer. "You don't belong here, Shalini. You never will." As Tara left, Shalini clutched the small drive containing the evidence. Something told her time was running out. Tomorrow she would show Vikram what she'd found, proof that someone inside the family was using their business for criminal activities. She never suspected that by morning. She would be the one accused of crimes she never committed, facing the man she'd married, but never truly known. The boardroom of Kapoor Developments fell silent as Vikram slammed his fist against the polished mahogany table. Rain lashed against the floor-to-ceiling windows, mirroring the storm brewing inside. "How dare you come here after what you've done?" Bikram's voice was low, dangerous. His normally impeccable appearance showed signs of strain, loosened tie. Dark circles under his eyes. Shalini stood frozen at the doorway, aware of every executive's eyes on her. She had come to show Vikram the evidence she'd discovered, only to find herself walking into an ambush. "I don't understand," she said, clutching her folder. "What's happening?" It stepped forward, tablet in hand. "Perhaps you'd like to explain how your personal bank account received 5 million rupees from our competitors yesterday. Or these emails from your personal account to Sharma Properties, revealing our confidential acquisition plans." The blood drained from Shalina's face. "That's impossible. I'd never save it," Vikram cut in, gesturing to the screen behind him. It displayed bank statements, emails, and photographs of Shalini meeting with Priya, now labeled as known corporate spy for Chandra Developments. "Your journalist friend works for our competitors," Tara explained with false sympathy. "And you've been feeding her information for months." Shalini's mind raced. "Vikram, please. This is fabricated. I was investigating something else entirely enough." Vikram's voice echoed through the room. "I welcomed you into my family despite your background. And this is how you repay us? By selling us out?" Indira Kapoor entered, her expression stone cold. Always knew she was unsuitable. A woman from her station, suddenly with access to our wealth and connections. The temptation was clearly too great. Shalini tried to approach Vikram, but security guards materialized beside her. "Vikram, someone is setting me up. If you just look at what I found, take her things from the house," Vikram ordered, not meeting her eyes. "Her personal items only. Everything else was purchased with Kapoor money." "You can't do this," Shalini whispered, shock giving way to horror. "I'm your wife." Vikram finally looked at her, his eyes reflecting nothing but contempt. "Not anymore. The divorce papers are being prepared. They'll be served shortly." "At least let me explain. You have 30 minutes to leave the premises," he stated flatly. "After that, you'll be removed and charges will be filed." The security guards escorted her out as whispers followed. The last thing she saw was Tara's hand on Vikram's shoulder, her expression one of perfect concern. 3 hours later, Shalini sat in a budget hotel room, her life reduced to one suitcase. Her bank accounts were frozen, credit cards canceled. Her phone had been disconnected. The evidence she'd gathered was gone. Someone had remotely wiped her cloud storage. When a knock came at the door, she opened it to find Priya, looking equally disheveled. "It came for me too," Priya said without preamble. "I've been fired, blacklisted. They're calling me an industrial spy." "It was Tara," Shalini said quietly. "She's been laundering money through shell companies using the Kapoor name. When I found proof, she turned it around on us." Priya sank onto the bed. "We have no evidence, no resources, and they've destroyed our reputations. What can we possibly do?" Shalini stared out at the Mumbai skyline, the towers of power where she was no longer welcome. Something hardened inside her, not hate, but resolve. "We start over," she said, her voice finding new strength. "Not as victims, but as women who know too much about how the powerful operate." "How?" "We have nothing." Shalini opened her suitcase, removing a small memory card hidden in the lining. "Not nothing. Kept one copy they didn't find. It's not enough to clear our names yet, but it's a start. And I still have my education, my skills." That night, as Mumbai's lights glittered through the cheap curtains, Shalini made a promise to herself. She would not seek revenge. She would seek justice. And to get it, she would need to build something so powerful that even the Kapoors couldn't tear it down. She had lost everything in a single day. She had nothing left to lose. Rising tides for years passed like a slow-burning flame, steady and transformative. Shalini Desai stood on the rooftop garden of a modest office building in Pune, watching her team celebrate their latest success. The sign on the building read, "Neve Technologies," Neve meaning foundation in Hindi, a fitting name for a company built from nothing to crossing 1 billion rupees in valuation, announced Rohan Iyer, raising his glass. Once a disillusioned software engineer at a major firm, he was now Shalini's chief technology officer and first employee. The journey to this moment had been arduous. After leaving Mumbai, Shalini had moved to Pune with nothing but her determination. In Priya's friendship, they'd shared a tiny apartment, working multiple jobs while developing their business plan. Shalini's first breakthrough came when she identified a critical gap in real estate technology. Property developers were still using outdated methods for urban planning and construction management. With her economics background and the technical skills she learned through night courses, she developed software that revolutionized efficiency and reduced costs by 30%. Speech, called out Priya, now Neva's communications director. Her journalist skills repurposed to build their brand. Shalini smiled, adjusting her simple but elegant business suit, a far cry from the designer saris of her Kapoor days. 5 years ago, I believed success meant having your name on buildings, she began. Today, I know it means building something that stands on its own merit. Each of you took a chance on a company that started in a one-room apartment. That faith wasn't just in me. It was in the idea that we could transform an industry through innovation rather than exploitation. She didn't mention her past. Her team knew only that she had overcome personal hardship. The full story remained between her and Priya. After the celebration, Shalini sat with her financial advisor Aditya. "Ramon, the venture capital offer is excellent," he noted, reviewing the papers. "But I'm curious why you're not accepting. It would triple your expansion capacity." Shalini studied the Mumbai skyline visible through her office window. "External investment means external control. I've seen how power can corrupt when unchecked." Speaking of power shifts, Aditya hesitated. "Have you seen the news about Kapoor developments?" Shalini's expression remained neutral, but her heart quickened. "No. What's happening? They're struggling. Bad investments, leadership problems, rumors of internal corruption investigations." He slid over his tablet showing business headlines. "Their stock has dropped 60% in 6 months. Later that evening, alone in her apartment, Shalini opened her laptop to a password-protected folder. Inside was the evidence she'd salvaged years ago, along with additional information she'd quietly gathered. The documents pointed to a sophisticated money laundering operation, one that would have eventually implicated Vikram himself, though she believed he had been unaware. She had never used this information, never sought revenge. But now, with Kapoor developments vulnerable, a different path emerged. The next morning, she called an emergency meeting with her executive team. "We're creating a new division," she announced. "NIV Acquisitions. We're going to start purchasing distressed real estate assets at favorable rates." "That's a significant shift from our technology focus," Rohan pointed out. "What sparked this?" Shalini unveiled her presentation. "Our software has proven that sustainable, ethical development is also more profitable. Now we'll prove it on a larger scale by acquiring and transforming properties ourselves." What she didn't say was that her first targets would be Kapoor developments, failing projects, acquisitions, made anonymously through shell companies of her own, designed not for laundering, but for strategic patience. As the meeting concluded, Priya lingered behind. "This is about them, isn't it?" she asked quietly. Shalini gazed out at the city below. "This is about building something better on the ruins of something corrupt. It's not revenge, Priya. It's reconstruction." It's 6 months. Later, Neve Technologies rebranded as Neve Group, with divisions spanning technology, development, and investment. And in Mumbai, as Kapoor Developments began selling off assets to stay afloat, mysterious buyers always seemed ready with perfect offers, just enough to be accepted, never high enough to provide real relief. Vikram Kapoor now showing visible signs of stress in public appearances, never knew that the woman he had discarded was systematically acquiring his legacy, piece by careful piece. Silent checkmate, the corridors of power in Mumbai, changed in the 6 years since Shalini's expulsion from the Kapoor family. New names dominated conversations. New buildings reshaped the skyline. New fortunes were made while old ones crumbled. Shalini Dasa, now 34, stepped out of her electric car at the entrance of what was once Kapoor Tower, recently renamed Neve Headquarters after its acquisition. Her appearance had transformed subtly but significantly. Her posture carried quiet authority. Her clothes were elegant but understated, and her eyes held the confidence of someone who had rebuilt herself from ashes. "Ms. Desai, the board members are assembled," her executive assistant informed her. Today marked a pivotal moment. Nev Group's public announcement of their latest acquisition, controlling 51% stake in what remained of Kapoor Developments. The purchase had been Shalina's masterpiece of strategy. Over 2 years, she had systematically acquired Kapoor properties through different shell companies, investment groups, and private equity firms, ensuring that Vikram never knew a single entity was behind it all. With each acquisition, she had improved the properties, treated workers fairly, and built a reputation for ethical business practices. Meanwhile, Kapoor Developments had continued its downward spiral. After the corruption scandal broke carefully, exposed through anonymous tips to regulators rather than the press, Vikram had managed to avoid criminal charges but not public disgrace. Tara had disappeared overseas with millions, leaving him to face the consequences alone. Indira Kapoor had died the previous year, never knowing that her family's decline had been orchestrated by the daughter-in-law she had despised. As Shalini entered the boardroom, conversations hushed. Today's meeting would finalize the merger between Nev Group and Kapoor Developments, though merger was a generous term for what amounted to a complete takeover. Before we begin, Shalini addressed the room. I want to clarify our approach. Every employee of Kapoor Developments will be evaluated on their merits alone. Past loyalties are irrelevant. Current capabilities are everything. This was not mercy, it was meritocracy, something the Kapoors had never practiced. The meeting proceeded efficiently, with plans approved for the transition. Only at the end did Rohan ask the question everyone had avoided. What about Vikram Kapoor himself? The terms of acquisition allow us to remove him completely. Shalini's expression remained impassive. Mr. Kapoor will be invited to tomorrow's transition meeting. His future with the company will be determined then. That evening, Shalini stood in what had once been Vikram's executive office, now hers. The city lights of Mumbai spread before her, the same view she had glimpsed as a new bride, intimidated and overwhelmed. Now she commanded it. Priya joined her, champagne glasses in hand. 6 years ago, we were in a budget hotel room with nothing but a memory card and desperate hope. Now look at us. It was never about revenge, Shalini said quietly. It was about justice. It's about proving that success doesn't require corruption or cruelty. And tomorrow, when he learns the truth? Priya asked. Shalini took the glass. Tomorrow isn't about the past. It's about ensuring he can never hurt anyone else the way he hurt me. The next morning, Vikram Kapoor entered the conference room looking like a shadow of his former self. Still handsome but haggard, his designer suit couldn't hide his diminished stature. His eyes widened in shock when he saw Shalini at the head of the table. "What is this?" he demanded. "Why is she here?" Aditya handed him a document. "Mr. Kapoor, meet the CEO of Nev Group, the company that now owns 51% of Kapoor Developments." Vikram stared at Shalini, comprehension dawning slowly. "You... all this time? The acquisitions, the investors?" "Please, sit down," Shalini said calmly. "We have much to discuss about the future of what was once your company." As the meeting progressed, she methodically outlined the restructuring plans, the new ethical guidelines, the corrective actions for past violations. Through it all, Vikram sat stunned, watching the woman he had discarded dismantle and rebuild his family legacy before his eyes. When the others left, Lenny remained, facing the man who had once defined her worth and found it lacking. "Why not just destroy me completely?" he finally asked. "You clearly could have." Shalini placed a USB drive on the table between them. "'Cause unlike you, I wanted the truth to matter more than power." On it was all the evidence, not just of Tara's crimes, but of how she had framed Shalini, manipulated Vikram, and nearly destroyed the company for her own gain. "Tomorrow," Shalini said, rising to leave, "you'll receive an offer for your remaining shares at fair market value. And not because you deserve it, but because I choose to be defined by fairness rather than vengeance." She paused at the door. "Have until tomorrow to decide whether you can live with working for me or whether you prefer to walk away with what little dignity remains." As she left, Vikram Kapoor, once the pinnacle of Mumbai's elite, sat alone in a conference room that no longer bore his family name, confronting the true cost of his greatest mistake. Full-circled morning light streamed through the windows of Shalina's home as she prepared for the day ahead. Unlike the opulent Kapoor mansion, her penthouse apartment was elegant but warm, filled with books, art from emerging artists, and photographs of the Neve team at various milestones. 7 years had passed since her expulsion from the Kapoor family. 7 years of determination, strategy, and ultimately, triumph. But as she sipped her tea, looking out at the Mumbai skyline, she felt strangely hollow. Her phone chimed with a message from Rohan. He's here. Vikram Kapoor had accepted her offer not for his shares, but for a position within the company, a prestigious title with limited power, leading their charitable foundation. It was more than many thought he deserved, but Shalini had her reasons at the office. She found him waiting in her reception area, standing awkwardly in a simple business suit. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something she couldn't quite name. Follow me, she said, leading him not to her office, but to the rooftop garden where employees gathered for breaks. Your first project, she explained, as they walked through the green space, will be overseeing the development of affordable housing on the old Sharma property, the same one Tara was using for money laundering. Vikram nodded, his expression somber. I've reviewed the files. The original residents who were displaced will have first right to return. Yes, at subsidized rates. She studied him. Does that bother you? It's not the profit margin you're used to. No, he said quietly. It's fitting. They reached a secluded corner overlooking the city. For a moment, neither spoke, the weight of their shared history hanging between them. Why did you give me this chance? He finally asked. After everything, Shalini considered her answer carefully. Because destroying you wouldn't undo what happened. And because I recognized something in you these past months, the beginning of understanding what your privilege costs others. She turned to face him directly. This isn't forgiveness, Vikram. It's an opportunity for you to make amends, not to me, but to all the people harmed by your family's business practices. I don't deserve it, he admitted. No, she agreed. But the people who will benefit from your work do deserve better housing, better opportunities. This isn't about you or me anymore. As they spoke, Priya approached with an elderly gentleman, Professor Desai, Shalini's father, visiting from Delhi. Papa Shalini embraced him warmly before making introductions. This is Vikram Kapoor. Will be leading our new housing initiative. Professor Desai's eyes registered recognition, but to his credit, he simply shook Vikram's hand. Ah, yes, Shalini. Mentioned you would be joining the foundation. Challenging project, but worthwhile. Later, as her father settled into her guest room, he asked the question she'd been expecting. Are you sure about this decision, Betty? Having him work for you after what he did? Shalini smiled gently. Do you remember what you always taught me? About economic systems, Papa. A true sustainability comes not from exploitation, but from creating value that lifts everyone. He nodded, understanding dawning in his eyes. I built Neve on that principle, she continued. Not just in business practices, but in how we treat people. I could have crushed him completely. Part of me wanted to, but what would that accomplish? Except to make me more like him? And if he fails to change, her father asked. Then he fails, Shalini said simply. But it will be his failure, not mine. In the months that followed, Vikram threw himself into the housing project with unexpected dedication. The man who had once dismissed Shalini's economic theories now implemented them, learning what she had always known, that business could be both ethical and profitable. One evening, as Shalini worked late, Vikram knocked on her office door with progress reports. The first families move in next month, he said. Some of them remembered me from before when we tried to force them out. His voice grew quieter. They asked why I was helping now. What did you tell them? Shalini asked. I was learning what real development means. He hesitated. I told them I had been taught by someone who understood that wealth without purpose is nothing but weight. Shalini nodded, recognizing the echo of her father's words. As Vikram turned to leave, he paused. I never apologized properly. Not really. I destroyed your life based on lies because it was easier than questioning someone I trusted. I'm sorry. Shalini, not because you now hold power over me, but because you deserved better. "I know," she said simply. "I built better." After he left, Shalini stood at her window, watching the lights of Mumbai, a city of contradictions, of wealth, and poverty, power, and vulnerability. She had come full circle, returning to stand among the powerful, but on her own terms. She thought of the young bride she had been, desperate for acceptance from a family that never intended to embrace her. That woman was gone, replaced by someone who no longer needed external validation to know her worth. The empire she had built wasn't founded on the Kapoor name or wealth. It was built on the principles she had always believed in, even when no one else did. And unlike the empire that had rejected her, hers would stand the test of time, built not on sand, but on the solid foundation of integrity. In the end, her greatest triumph wasn't acquiring Vikram's company or wealth. It was becoming the woman who could offer opportunity rather than retribution, not because she had forgotten, but because she had grown beyond the need for revenge. As Mumbai glittered before her, Shalini Desai smiled. The story that had begun with her being thrown out with nothing had ended with her owning everything, including, most importantly, herself.